You're watching Pulse for the 6th or 7th of October, depending on when this goes up, and it's time for some World of Warcraft news. In this week's episode, we take a look at some updated PTR patch notes, the new patch 4.3 Raid Finder and Valor changes, some World of Warcraft class stereotypes, and more. But yes, this episode is mostly just patch 4.3 stuff again. So, let's get started. So we'll start the World of Warcraft news off this week with the latest patch 4.3 PTR patch note updates. There weren't that many changes, and I guess some of these were already implemented, but the biggest ones that definitely stand out the most are those made to Zul'Gurub and Zulaman. Players now only need to kill 2 of the 4 initial dungeon bosses to get to either Jindo the Godbreaker or Hexlord Malakras. So there's good and bad news coupled to this. I'd suppose the bad news is trying to get specific bosses that you really need would get a lot harder, but the good news outweighs the bad by far. People will actually still be doing this when the new 5-mans come out and patch 4.3 hits. I mean, why wouldn't you want to do it if it's that much faster now? Oh, and, well, you can always get that silly bear mount too. Other than that though, Hour of Twilight is also available for testing now, and if you didn't know, that's one of the other new 5-mans. You can, as usual, see the full patch notes below, and if you were wondering, these were updated on the 5th of October. Now, as a few extras to this, as there always seem to be, it looks like the Hour of Twilight is actually live, and the guys from over at TankSpot or Zam Official have a guide up for the entire instance. It does look like a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see this on the live servers. The only one we've yet to see is the Well of Eternity. Then you can also have a look at a few Void Storage prices. To unlock Void Storage, that means to actually make it available for use, it costs 100 gold. To deposit an item, it costs 25 gold, and to withdraw something is totally free. Yes, that does kinda sound like a lot, but you gotta keep in mind that this is meant to be long-term storage. Next up, there's a new interface for reforging. You can have a look at the patch 4.3 5-man dungeon drops. That's for all 3 of the dungeons, and there are some pretty cool looking items in there. Blizzard are adding a new feature in patch 4.3 that'll allow you to replace inactive guild leaders, so I guess that's pretty useful. You can check out the Fangs of Father and a couple of the Darkmoon Fair quests or quest lines. And yes, there are a lot of extras, as you can tell. Then you can have a look at some new profession details, a few more holiday pets, spell effects, ability balance changes, new loot, and it seems like Chaos Orbs are no longer bind on pickup in patch 4.3. Lastly, and quite jokingly, after looking at the tier 13 raid weapons, the guys over at the Daily Blink couldn't help but think that Deathwing's loot table looked a little bit like this. I would not be surprised. And yes, that wasn't really an official extra or anything, but still, I thought it fit in. Time for another preview. This time we're having a look at the Raid Finder that is coming in patch 4.3. So if you didn't know yet, the Raid Finder is a cross-realm tool that'll allow level 85 players to access the 25-player version of the Dragon Soul Raid. And yes, the sad part here is that it seems like it'll only work on the Dragon Soul Raid, not the older Cataclysm raids, but there's a reason for that. Blizzard's official answer is that the Raid Finder is intended to help players experience the current tier of content, not the older tiers, because, well, as they move forward and assuming players keep playing World of Warcraft, they would obviously experience everything through the Raid Finder, and it'll move along, letting them experience all the new stuff as it comes out. In my opinion, it's a pretty great way of doing things, but it would be cool if they had at least included Firelands in there. But hey, who am I fooling? I guess no one's really going to want to do Firelands once Dragon Soul's out. Also, I don't think I even really need to mention, I think it's really cool that everyone's getting a fair shot at this from the very start. You don't need to be an absolutely incredibly amazing hardcore raider to be able to do the new raids. You can actually just join a pug for it with the Raid Finder. So other important things that we need to know, the loot acquired through the Raid Finder would be the same as the normal gear, but of lower item level than the items acquired in normal or heroic versions of the Dragon Soul Raid. Yes, it is a slightly watered down version of the raid, and the items will be weaker, but at least everyone's going to be experiencing the new content. One big thing to note is that you also need at least one person to sign up as a raid leader, so someone's going to have to mock, someone's going to have to at least take a little bit of control of the raid as it goes along. And if you're wondering about the Raid Finder group composition, each Raid Finder group will include 2 tanks, 6 healers, and 17 damage dealers. Honestly, I like the idea, and I think it's cool to give the more casual players a chance to actually see the new content. You guys can let me know what you think and check that full preview out below. Now, with patch 4.3, apparently Blizzard are going to be introducing yet more Valor point changes. Looking for dungeon runs will now give 150 Valor points per run with a cap of 7 runs per week. This counts for all Cataclysm Heroic dungeons from patch 4.0 all the way till patch 4.3. Looking for raid runs will give 250 Valor points per run with a cap of 500 per week. Apparently the new 4.3 raid that we just spoke about, Dragon Soul, will be split into 2 separate raids for the raid finder. While individual bosses do not drop Valor points when using the raid finder, you will still receive 250 Valor points for completing each Dragon Soul raid. Well, each part of it at least. 10-player raid bosses will give 115 Valor points, and there are 9 bosses per week, counting Baradin Hold. 25-player raid bosses, 135 points, also 9 bosses per week. And lastly, the Valor point cap is 1000 per week. That's starting off at least. I'm sure they're going to change this yet again sometime in the future. Blizzard said that their goal, or at least their aim with this, was to return to the days of Valor points being a consolation prize rather than being central to the gearing process. It makes sense to me, and I think it'll be great if item drops actually mean something again. So you can also read this post below or over on the official World of Warcraft community sites. Now, before heading into the smalls, let's have a look at another WoW Krendor piece. So World of Warcraft has many class stereotypes for all the classes in the game, and in this little video he shows some of the more common ones. I gotta say, like most of his other work, this was a lot of fun, and a lot of these stereotypes are very true, more so than most of us want to believe. My personal favorite is definitely the Druid, so check the video out right here on YouTube, be sure to leave a comment of appreciation and give it a like. Now let's have a look at the couple of smalls that we have this week. Blizzard have once again on the official site been pimping out their customer support YouTube channel. You can check out some World of Warcraft comics and art gallery updates. You can read about the World of Warcraft trading card game 2011 US National Championships. You can check out the latest weekly marmot, analyzing hotfixes in raid design. And lastly, Athene is back and he presents Satisfaction with Mia Rose. Definitely worth having a look at. She is, if you didn't know, a porn star that really likes playing WoW. Sadly, that's all I have for you in the World of Warcraft news. You can, as usual, check a couple of extra blue posts out below if you're interested, and remember to like the video, favorite it, share it with your friends, and subscribe. Most importantly though, happy testing patch 4.3 on the PTR.